Alright, hello. Back with another Madonna death prediction date thing. I don't know, decode. I don't even know what the hell it is really. What it is it's just some interesting stuff that ties together to a certain date. Whether or not it's Madonna dies on this date or not, I don't know. But there's a good I mean, there's a potential chance of it, let's put it that way. I'm a little less gung ho about saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to happen on this date" anymore. But this is a pretty good sort of decode thing. We have to go to Madonna's character, Madame X, for this to make a little bit more sense. And boy, you know what? I started off looking at this thing, and it was kind of just happened in passing, and then and then there's something else that falls into alignment with it, and then you have a look at a few number jumps. You go, "Oh, that is really interesting." And so we're now at a video stage, and all of a sudden there's an absolute ton of information that I've got to get through now. So this is actually, I'm apologise up front. It's probably going to be a little bit of a long video actually, but I'll try and run through it fairly quickly, without like jibber jabbering too much on each little part of it. Anyway, how did I even get onto this? I'll tell you how I got onto this. I did that decode, A Block Past Maple, okay, and Back to the Future. And in that decode, okay, let's go to this. Okay, actually, let's go to the blimmin', hang on a minute. So it's in this scene in Back to the Future, okay, where Marty's with his grandparents, and he's asking where Riverside Drive is, because that's Doc's address is 1640 Riverside Drive. But he asks where Riverside Drive is, and Marty's granddad says it's block past Maple. Okay, and then Marty says, "Isn't that JFK Drive or something like that?" And he does the old gun thing as well. Okay, um, so we have a JFK reference. We have Doc's house being referenced, although I don't think he says 1640, but he just asks where Riverside Drive is because that's what Marty's trying to find. He's trying to find 1640 Riverside Drive. That's Doc's address in 1955. Back in good old 1985, the address is 1646 because, of course, Doc is now living in the garage because he lost the house in his pursuit of technology. Okay, so that's all important symbolism as well, which I may or may not talk about. But Doc is Madonna. I did some of the connections and some of the gematria connections, but basically, Doc is Mary, Doc is Madonna, okay? Doc is the metaphysical, okay? That's what we're dealing with, okay? And so, Doc is God, I guess, you could put it that way as well. And what happens with Doc is Doc becomes corrupted, okay? And that search for technology corrupts Doc, and so he loses everything in the process of, the nice house goes and everything else. I'm getting sidetracked now. So we're looking for 1640 Riverside Drive, right? And this is the block past Maple thing, right? The decode, right? So if we look at, this is where I went with it last time. If we come down here to block, stick it in here. Hang on a second. Oh, blooming hell, come on. I was going with a 29-day jump because we had the 9229 in there. Those are double, double numbers, if you like, the same number, same numerology, right? So I did a 29-day jump, which took us to the 30th of May. Now, I believe, I don't know if actually if you include the end date, whether that would have took you to JFK's birthday or not. I don't know anyway. But anyway, it was pretty close to JFK's birthday, which is the 29th of May. Okay. So the 29th of May was something I was looking at. It was actually the 30th of May was what I was looking at. Okay, so the 30th was pretty. I was like, ooh, that could be a hot date for Madonna or Hoover Dam, whatever. Um, but I hadn't really done the 43-day jump. So I did the 43-day jump, and the date that comes up for the 43-day jump, well, actually, the way I did it, let me show you here. No, this one, maybe. I did it like this, and there was a reason for doing it like this. I can't really remember what the reason was for including the end date, but there was an interesting number jump, is why I chose to include the end date in the end. So this is a 43-day jump. So this is our block number from Maypole, from the 1st of May through, takes us to 6/12. And what's interesting about that is this is a couple of days or 3 days inclusive, depending whether you want to include the end date or not. I'm not really too fussed about whether we include the end date too much now or not, or whether we do or we don't, because we're always dealing with that. I think we're always dealing with that 12 o'clock hour between 2 days. But anyway, um, I'm getting so sidetracked with this already. This is just a couple of days before Donald Trump's birthday, and you've got to have the death of the the false ego. Yeah, this is what has to be put on the cross and rebalanced. That's the idea of putting something on the cross. What forms the false ego is the body. It's the physical body that has to go on the cross. But it's not necessarily the physical body that has to be sacrificed. What actually has to be sacrificed is the physical body being within the false environment of the matrix, yeah, the unnatural environment of the matrix. Because there's nothing really wrong with the physical body. Okay, I'm getting really sidetracked. There's nothing wrong with the physical body itself, until you put it into a false system. So when you take the physical body out of nature and put it into a man-made system, yeah, the world in which we live in now, what that does is, because the body drives the process of building the ego, the false ego is born from the body not being in the correct environment. Okay, so that's why the body has to go on the cross. Because I hear people go on about, oh, it's such a terrible thing to see Jesus on the cross like that. Yeah. You're missing what the point of what's being trying to be said there with that image, okay, and what the importance of that image is. But anyway, again, getting sidetracked. So this is, what's got to happen. Got to have the death before the resurrection. So the idea of the sun going down for 3 days, or 3 days inclusive at Christmas. It doesn't move and then it rises again. Yeah. So this idea of death and then resurrection. So we have the eve before the day of. Yeah. So Eve has to die first. Yeah. For the birth to happen next. All right. So anyway, this is super duper interesting with this connection back to JFK in that scene, and Madonna, and Marilyn Monroe, because Madonna does all the Marilyn Monroe impersonation stuff, which I showed before as well, in old videos. And I made a few connections actually with her tour to Dallas and etc. But this 6/12 is, 3 days inclusive, or 2 days before Donald Trump's birthday. So we have this connection back with, the Marilyn Monroe with Happy Birthday, Mr. President. And we have this same thing with the idea of Madonna dying for the chosen one, the chosen one to be reborn here on the 14th, on Donald Trump's birthday, okay, which is also, coincidentally, a kind of our final return date for Pluto. So the birth of Pluto, yeah, I think in one of her, I'm pretty sure in one of her videos, no, I think I can't remember which one it was, but there's the cartoon one where she's got the Mickey Mouse ears on. I can't remember what that's called, that one. Anyway, it's the Elephants and Pink Lemonade song. God, I can't remember. Anyway, so this idea of her having to die a couple of days before Trump's birthday in order for Trump to be reborn, and it's the death of the Matrix right before that, and the tie-in with JFK, and with the block past Maple with JFK, and with Marilyn Monroe with Happy Birthday, Mr. President. Boy, there's an awful lot of tie-ins before I even get on to any of the number jumps here. But why I went down this route though of this date is because when we got to when we did this, so when we got to block and we did the 43 days and it took us to that date, right? What I did is I was looking at her birthday through to not that one, that's in a minute. Here we go. This is what's interesting, right? So I was looking for her birthday through to that date, okay? And so, as you can see, actually, we could probably click into there and just do that, and just do this, just to double check something. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. I want to just check something there. So from her birthday through to 6/12, right, we have a palindropic number. I don't know if that's even a proper word, but we have a palindrome here, okay? This number reads the same forward as backwards, okay? So it's it's kind of a mirror reflection, if you like. 24,042, okay? So it's 2442, or in a mirror, it could be 2424, reading back to the center balance point, okay? What's fascinating about this is a palindrome, and Madame X, her album, and her, alter ego thing, her character going on here, which happens actually, if you look at the album itself, Madame X, it's the 14th studio album. Okay, so there's a big reference right there with the number 14, because the number 14 is just, oh my goodness, it's just super duper important. And of course, with the clock tower going bang at 10:04, same numerology, okay, that thing dies with the 14, okay, so this ties back to Madame X here. And look at the release date, Trump's birthday, 2019. So again, it ties back into the rebirth of Trump. But the reason why this was interesting was the fact that Madame, okay, this is like the French. What did I look at it up? It was like the French. This is the French, Madame. What you would call Mrs. Smith would be Madame Smith. Okay, it's like Mrs. in French, right? So Madame X. Now, the way we would say Madame as a sort of to be polite to somebody, okay, is without the E on the end. Okay, so there's two different spellings if you like. And if we just do the without the E on the end, what do we have? We have damn backwards and forwards. Okay, so we have this palindrome, Madame, which is damn backwards and forwards. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this is that although those numbers are not, this is 13, 1, and 4, okay, and then back the other way, 1 and then 13, right? Those are not 24042. But notice what we have on the end of Madonna's name here, Madame X. X happens to be the 24th letter of the alphabet. So this is a really nice, I mean, if it were to happen, this is a very nice, subtle way of doing it without actually just having, you know, I don't know. Anyway, it's just, it would be really crazy if it were to happen, because this is just, it's not as obvious, I guess. So you could say, well, you're just fudging it now down to make it work. But yeah, okay, you could say that as well. But anyway, Madame X. Okay, so X being 24, and we have the palindrome of Madame without the E on the end, and we have that number. We have that number jump, which is, oh, I'll show you that one in just a second. Oh, bloody hell, we're all over the place. We have that number, which is 24, looking into the center of this is the mirror, if you like. So it's 24, and if we were actually reading back towards the center point, it would be 24, 24. Super duper interesting. Okay, let's look at some of the other number jumps before we go too crazy, because there's so much to get through here. So if we go from 9/11 through to that date, 6/12, it's 8,310 days. Straight away, what springs to mind with that number is Diana's death on the 31st of August. And if you go to the 31st of August, what is funny about that is as well that August the 31st happens to be the 122nd day, 122 days left in the year. Okay, which is super duper fascinating with her Die Another Day, okay, which was 10/22 release. Okay, the same as Doc's birthday, Christopher Lloyd's birthday, 10/22. The same as the train going over the, and actually that's kind of interesting that she uses the French term because of that train crash in Paris as well, which is kind of interesting, that tie back to France. But oh, and we have the 20, yeah, we have the 2/4 numerology as well matching up. But that tied in with Die Another Day. So this is a kind of a, it's a bit of a double connection back to it with the 831, tying back to 122, tying back to that 6/12 date. Okay, but the 122 was the Die Another Day, and so I was kind of had been looking for dates that had 122 in it as well. So, but that just tied Diana back with this 12th of June date. So that's pretty cool as well. And back to 9/11 as well, which is also pretty cool. In fact, the other date that I'd looked at for Madonna in August was the 8th, because it's 221, 145. Those two numbers tie heavily in with Madonna's numbers, if you've watched some of my other decodes. Right, that date's already really gone with Olivia Newton-John. Okay, so that kind of ties Olivia Newton-John in with all this stuff as well, which is it's just all, there's tons of little connections. Anyway, where want to go with this now? So what do we just do? Oh, I wanted to look at, so this was the other thing, I wanted to look at the balance date for Pluto. Okay, seeing as this is kind of tying in with, dying a couple of days before for the resurrection of Pluto or Donald Trump, or the United States or whatever. 11/17. So we're going from that date, which actually Sandra had a good comment. What it was, well, she got lots of good comments, but she mentioned that. I hope I get this right. I think it was 1117 was the 187th prime number. So that is really nice with our tie back with probably the next to the damn date coming up, which is probably the 17th, the 18th of July, the 187 number. Yeah, that kind of ties in really nice with that. But anyway, I wanted to go from this date and see how many days it was. 208, okay, through to potential death date, of course, 612. Well, as soon as I seen that, I'm like, oh, blimmin' hell, come on. Right at the end of Ghost Town, here's the 28. And this character right now, who is in the news, Terrence Howard, with his nonsense. In fact, I was going to talk about him in the last video, but I probably got sidetracked and forgot all about it. But his 1 times 1 is 2 nonsense, which I think he's in on it. I don't think he's that dumb. Okay, I think he's in on the whole thing, and I think he's doing a little bit of an act here, because when he's doing the 1 times 1 thing equaling 2, he's talking about dollars. He's talking about dollar bills, right? And this reference back to the dollar bill, right? And what was I going to say was fascinating about it? It's encoding 112, okay, which 112, I'm trying to remember all this now, but 112 is the start of the cycle again. So he's referencing, with his silly nonsense thing, he's referencing the renewal of the cycle, okay. And what's fascinating is he is another 311 man. I was talking about Billy Idol being with this reference to 311 and the 311 day jump through to from 9/11 through to the 18th of July. Okay, so that's 311 days this year. On a normal year, it would be 310, or through 2 normal years, it would be 310. Okay, which is in the dollar bill, and actually you can still get to the 18th of July with the dollar bill. You can still do it. So it's an interesting date for sure. Anyway, I'm probably really losing people now. I'm just all over the place with this. But anyway, Terrence Howard, yeah, that nonsense. I'll probably do a video on it maybe to explain that a little bit more. But he just happens to be in this Madonna video, and he just happens to be hitting the headlines right now. Interesting stuff. So what else did I have in here, Dan? Come on. What's this date here? Oh, so anyway, this is the big thing, right? I need to go to the bloody hell. I need to go to the actual day of the year and show you why this becomes really interesting now with Doc, because, and what we have to remember, what's going on with Pluto, what's the symbolism. So Marty is Pluto, right? Or maybe, I don't know the way you want to look at it, but yes, Marty or Michael, Mickey Mouse, and Pluto. This idea of Pluto returning home, yeah. And what is Marty trying to do? He's trying to get home, and the first step with getting home is getting back to Doc. Okay, the original Doc, in the nice home before he's become corrupted, right? The original Mary, okay? The original clock tower before it's broken, okay? Okay, so that's where he's got to get, right? Let's get to the blooming date, Dan, come on. Okay, the 12th of June, okay? Check out the date. Check out the number of the the day of the year. 164. Where does Doc live? He lives at 1640 Riverside Drive. So this is where Marty is, is another reference to trying to get home, okay? Because this is what getting back to the beginning of the cycle is. It's getting back home to the start of the thing where you began, okay? Anyway, 164, here it is. This is Doc's address. So we've got all these connections back to Christopher Lloyd, back to Doc. Oh my goodness. This is the date, and then we got Trump here and a couple of, 3 days inclusive on, just like the resurrection of Christ. Okay, and then we got the 202 here. I ain't gonna go into that right now. Okay, but again, the top of the dollar bill, we got the two bunny rabbit ears, the 2 and the 2 on each side of the dollar bill. It's a pretty good dollar bill reference, that actually. Follow the white rabbit, Neo. Okay. Anyway, now I've lost my train. Oh yeah, my train of thought was the garage. The address of the garage is 1646. It's 6 doors down, I guess. They've managed to put 6 houses in between where the old mansion used to be and the garage that's left. Okay, so Madonna again. We have the symbolism in the garage of Madonna getting, the amp getting blown up. But anyway, let's see. 6 days. So I just added six. I just added 6 doors down. So 1646 now. I just added the extra 6 on to this day, and look where it takes us. It takes us to 618, which is the same numerology as Madonna's birthday, 816. Okay, that's pretty darn interesting as well. Okay, what else I got up here? All kinds of stuff. What's this stuff here? Hang on. Oh, this is the regular decoders will love this. The regular decoders, because this is the kind of thing that Zach would mention. She's 65 years old, and she died. This would be 65 days before her 66th birthday, I guess, if I'm getting that right. I hope I am. So she's 65 right now, I believe. I had her up here somewhere. Yes, here it is. Yes, it's saying it in Wikipedia that she's 65 years old, and this date would be 65 days, yeah, when she was 65 years old. Interesting. But what's even more interesting is if we go back the other way. So if we go from 4/8, the eclipse, okay, and we go through to this 6/12 date, it's 65 days. This is a midpoint. This is a balance point. That's a pretty nice thing as well. Pretty nice thing with the whole idea of the palindrome with that middle reflective balance point in the middle of the thing. Oh dear. Anyway, what else have I got? God, there must be something. Oh, there is a ton. Hang on. We're not done yet. Okay. Okay. Let's look at this now. So 8/16. Here's Madonna's birthday in the dartboard, right? Here's JL's big date, which is 11/16 right above it, right? But 8/16, look what it ties into. Here it is. Just read this number backwards. The 31st of August, Diana's death date, and we had that 8310 number jump from 9/11. So there's that. And then with the 16, here's the 164 right here coming across. Okay. So not only do both of those numbers tie in as with the date, pretty good, and we also have pi. Those two numbers reflect pi as well here. It's a pretty good date, really, in terms of. But there's been other dates that I've had lots of good number jumps as well. So it's just kind of educated guesswork basically, and it's just luck if it were to happen on that day. I wanted to just look. I wanted to just show you as well. I haven't checked this myself yet, but 164. Let's back up. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I need to go down this way and go to 164 the other way, which is July the 20th. So we're right in sort of moon landing territory there with all these dates here. So that's pretty mental as well. Obviously, the moon being Mary or the Matrix, or depending on what state it's in. I think that's it. I'm sure I've probably forgotten something. We did the Madame X thing with the release date with Trump. The idea is Trump is Marty, is this is what happens, you see. What well, how are you saying Trump's Marty? Because isn't Biff Trump in Back to the Future? Yeah. But what you got to remember is Biff is the ego side of Marty, yeah? Because every time, that's what it represents, it's the thing that drives that ego, that's the character that you become when you do not, I guess, when you build that false ego heavily enough, okay? Oh, anyway, let me know. I think that's it, really. I think we've got to be done with that one. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I've missed. We've done all the number jumps. Oh, I did have Madame X in here. What was interesting about Madame X with the numerology, also, if you take the E off, there's our 56. Okay, and then Madame X with the E, 61, which ties back with Marilyn Monroe, with her birthday. Yeah, I don't know really. We could go. Well, I ain't gonna go through the rest of the numbers now. But it is interesting with the block and the 16s in block as well. So I mean, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I don't think there's really any point in going back through these number jumps now, just to make sure. 208, yeah, we've discussed that with the 28 and Ghost Town. We've done that. We've done, what was this? Oh, that was Doc's address. 1640 Riverside. I'll tell you what's interesting. If you go to the actual real place, look at the zip code. 91103. Oh, jeez. You just can't write it. I'll tell you some of this stuff. That's it, and there's the extra 6 days, which takes us to her birthday numerology. 65 days to, 65 days from, to her birthday, and 65 days from 4/8. I'm gonna leaving it there. Okay, that's probably long enough. We've done all that stuff. We've got the Marilyn Monroe connections as well. If you look at all the Marilyn Monroe look-alike stuff, there's absolutely pages of it, Again, happy birthday, Mr. President. Okay, that thing has to be put on the cross and be rebalanced, or really for Trump to be reborn. I guess so. What would we see with Trump? Maybe we would see some kind of, I haven't even been following that case. Maybe there'll be some kind of like, I don't know. Maybe it'll get. I don't know what's. Maybe there's some kind of reversal or something with his case. I don't know. I thought had he been charged with the 34 count. I don't even mean following it, but that is it again. Interesting that it's 34 counts, isn't it? With the 43-day jump for Madonna. I don't know. And it's kind of interesting with the idea of the sort of the president's bit on the side. I don't know. Or whatever, That's just, that's kind of crazy as well. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. So there's another little connect. I mean, probably if I started digging on that, I could probably find some more connections with Trumpy and the 34 to the 43 to the block. Crazy. Got to leave it there. All right. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.